Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, Anita Finley.
Dean Webb is here. We all look forward to Dean Webb, whether it's our operations manager, whoever it is, because he's so much fun and he's so smart, and I just love him. And he's, of course, been a good, close friend besides being someone who we work with Boomer Times. But Dean Webb, Executive Director of Faith Farm Ministries. You know, Dean, we welcomed you to the show, but I have to say before we get started, we assume everybody knows you. So why don't we just say who you are, what you do, and then we can go into a subject.
Okay, great. Well, for 8.5 years, I've been the Executive Director of Faith Farm Ministries. It's a free, I specify that because we draw from all over the United States, free 9-month drug and alcohol recovery program. And we have 445 beds, 20 women, 425 men, spread over 1,500 acres over 3 campuses, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, and Okeechobee. And we put people back on their feet. We stop them from stealing. If they're doing that to get drugs, we stop them from burglarizing to get money to buy drugs. We give them GED if they need it. We have up to 9 college credits they earn in our program because it's sanctioned by a accredited school. And we give them job training. We'll get them Pell Grants if they want to go to school and qualify. We put them in our Omega program so they can go out and search for jobs and stay for 6 months, room and board, and then they have enough money accumulated to go get their first and last month's apartment and get their utilities turned on and make room for another person. So we basically launder people through our program and set them back up and make them whole and healthy again, help them with jobs, education, and transform their lives, basically.
Well, of course, you're only in 3 counties. So,
Right.
Of course, everyone said, why can't you expand? Because there are people all over, but you have a hard enough time keeping everything together there.
Well, it's not people. Here's the thing. In the last 5 years, we've drawn from 49 out of 50 states. So it's not, even though we're physically located in South Florida, which everybody seems to like weather-wise, they come from all over the country. South America, India, you name it. We draw from everywhere. And so I assume that the price free is good. Down here in Palm Beach, we have a lot of $1,000 a day programs, which, by the way, some of our people have gone through and had made it because it was a short-term program, came into our program to get totally transformed. So it's just been a marvelous program to see lives transformed. And so we draw, even though we're in South Florida, we draw from all over the country, which is really neat.
Well, the good part about all this, and we talked about this a little bit before you got started, was it used to be alcoholism. That's what we always felt. People on the street, they were drunks, then they had a problem. And then after that, I think I don't know if it was after the 60s, but then we had people into drugs.
Right.
And then we just felt that they were druggies. I mean, everybody casts them off. If they're not your child, they're just some human being that's weak.
Some low life that's
exactly.
uncontrollable of their urges and all that stuff,
And now, though, although you haven't done anything different, you have a very huge population of people who are addicted maybe to drugs, to drugs, but a different kind of drug.
Prescriptive medicines. It's we've been around. In October, we'll celebrate our 65th anniversary. So for 6.5 decades we've been doing this, and we've seen it go from mostly alcoholism, 25 years. Then the next 20 to 25 years, it was street drugs, heroin, cocaine, that sort of thing added into that mix. And then we started getting the addictive population to pain medicines. Doctors don't know how serious, when they prescribe OxyContin and do it over a period of time, that is actually harder to get off of than heroin addiction. And doctors don't understand that. I've heard it said that there's only a couple, 2-3 hours mostly in a medical degree that's given to pain medication and the prescriptions of that. And so pharmaceutical companies come in and sell the doctor, oh man, this is great for pain, and And it is. They've tested it. It'll kill pain. But what they don't tell you about is the addictive nature of it. And it's in the pharmaceutical company's best interest not to tell you how addictive it is. But I think partly they didn't know how addictive it was. People got on it and kept getting re-prescribed, and pretty soon they were addicted.
But, Dean, when we watch all those prescription ads on television, hear them on the radio, I never hear one time that they talk about that it can become addictive. We hear all the things that you could die.
Side effects, yeah. They talk about the side effects. A lot of side,
but no one says that you need to stay with your doctor on this so that you don't become addicted. That's a whole new thing.
Yeah, that's right. And the sad thing is, I'm not a doctor, but when I think about taking the Hippocratic Oath and that you've taken an oath for your whole life to serve people in the best way possible, whether you operate on them or treat them somehow, you give them pain medication to medicate the pain they're in it because you don't want to see them in pain. They're trying to do that. I don't think they're being, except for the pill mills we finally shut down around here in South Florida, that were making money just purposely selling pill mills. I think that doctors innocently really don't know what they're doing. They really don't know what they're doing to people in terms of addictiveness.
Well, when you think about it, someone's had, let's say, hip replacement, knee replacement, whatever they've had, cancer, and they keep talking to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Well, how are you feeling? How's your pain?" "Oh, it's really hard." So the doctor says, "Okay," but and there's no test. It's not like you can go into an X-ray machine or something and it shows you, from 1 to 10, a lot of pain or not. They have to judge it based on the patient's response.
I know it. And
so maybe that's where the problem is.
And here, let me give you one example of how devastating it is. We had a lady in Ohio. She was a legal secretary, very smart, had a degree, and 2 children, married. She got in an auto accident and had horrendous pain issues with her back and stuff, and so she was prescribed OxyContin. Anyway, the pain wouldn't go away, and so she kept getting refilled prescriptions.
Excuse me, did it go away when she took the medication?
Yeah, it did. She was in excruciating pain if she wasn't on it. So legitimately, she asked to be on it. The problem is, when she was on it that long, when there came a time when, with all the chiropractic and all the other stuff she was doing and the back brace and everything, the pain subsided, but she discovered she couldn't get off. She was addicted. And when that
Excuse
happened,
me, I have to pursue this. You have never been on this, and I haven't either,
No.
But have you heard? What does it make you feel? Why can you not get on it? It forces you, says, I want it, or if she has no more pain or it's subsided, what does it do to you?
Oh, it's an addiction like heroin or cocaine or anything. It gives you, in other words, if it's actually medicating the pain, that's good. But when you don't have the pain to medicate and you're just taking the drug, you get addicted to that, and it's like you've got to have it, and it accelerates to the point where people will even take the pills and melt them in a spoon and inject it. They have to have more and more and more, right, what's going on right now, for example, is OxyContin. The prescription drugs have gotten so expensive that now people are actually stooping to going on the street and getting heroin because it costs 1/20th as much to get heroin. So now,
Wait, excuse me, then I don't know something. Does heroin do the same thing to them, that it takes away pain?
Sure.
Oh, it puts them in another place.
It's mind altering, and it alters your whole. There's a euphoric. I've never done this, so I'm just listening to what people.
Course,
but they tell me
it
gives a euphoric feeling, and you don't want to come down, and all of a sudden it's like alcoholics get the shakes if they don't have a drink. It so takes a hold of you. You've got to have it, and you'll do anything to do it. And the only way to get out of it is to check into a detox center and just go cold turkey and go off of it.
So that must even be harder if it's caused by prescription drugs, isn't it? Because it's been in your body a different way.
And so you have to really, 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 really want to get off of it to go through that painful detox.
Okay, so then when I'm thinking, years ago, and maybe I'm wrong about this, not being even drinking alcohol, when someone was an alcoholic, they came in, and I would assume a lot of them were of a lower class because they could have gone to some place where they paid. All right. Well, that's not 100%.
Not totally.
No,
There
not
are people
totally,
that
I'm sure.
Actually, they call them working alcoholics. They actually can function as long as they have the alcohol in their system. They can function, and you don't really know that they're alcoholics. But boy, you let them go a couple, 2 or 3 hours without a drink.
So this could be a CEO of a company.
Yeah.
It could be anything like that. All right. Have the people who are now there as for prescription drugs, has the quality of that person changed at all? Like you talked about this legal secretary. Are you getting a lot of a different quality of people on this?
65 years ago, we had nothing but, I would just say, homeless bums off the street, alcoholics. Then about 20, 25 years later, we had people that had gone through detox and wanted to be in a program to change and reprogram their mind and their spirit and their will and everything through our program. And now we have had, like I had a guy that was 4 levels down from H. Ross Perot. He showed me his tax returns. He never made less than $500,000 a year for the previous 4 years, but he was addicted. This legal secretary, I was telling you the story. She got to where she was doing all sorts of stuff. She got caught stealing in a store, and of course because she had no record, they let her off. And so it got so bad that she was going out prostituting herself to get money for her OxyContin, for her and finally the husband, when he discovered all this, he tried to work with it, but she was so addicted, he finally just divorced her, took the 2 kids, and that's when she hit bottom and came down to our program. And we used her in the office. We let her have an office job, not through any financial sensitive material, but just routine paperwork, printing programs for our courses and stuff.
But Dean,
you
don't take anybody there until they have now been detoxed.
Oh yeah, no, we have no medical facilities.
Right. So how did she? So she got detoxed, but you're saying if she hadn't gone to Faith Farm or some other place, she would have been back on it. Is that what happens?
Yeah. She would have. She detoxed.
She needed help in another way.
Yeah, because see, one of the things, if you go to one of these $1,000 a day programs here, all up and down the beach here, you're doing a very high class abstinence program. They're bringing you lemonade around the pool, and they have psychologists and stuff. Because we're a free program, we don't have any medical facilities. We basically, we're incorporated as a church, and like it or not, our belief is very strongly faith-based. And we believe you not only abstain, but you redirect the mind to positive things. We have courses on causes of addiction, courses on setting boundaries, how to set boundaries in your life, and how to journal and do self-introspection to keep up with where you are in life and your recovery process. So we're not just abstaining. We're actually, stripping down and putting good things back into their mind and their spirits.
For some people, I like that legal secretary, she probably didn't need it as much. She just got hooked. But a lot of people have never had what you offer. Maybe that's also a difference.
That's possible too. But the things that I'll tell you what. I came from a family. I'm a preacher's kid, so I was very protected all my life. And I always thought anybody that had the drugs and alcohol was nothing but just a low-life bum on the street and everything. When I came to Faith Farm, I was shocked at how many people came from wonderful Jewish, Christian, Muslim, whatever homes, and had great upbringing. I mean, great upbringing. But when they got in high school, and all the kids that may not have had that good upbringing were out there doing the alcohol and the peer pressure, all of a sudden they get into the alcohol, and then they try the marijuana, and then they want more, and a lot of times peer pressure derails a lot of these people, because when you go to our by the way, this Sunday at Boynton, we have a 10 o'clock, we have a wonderful graduation. We have 3 women and 7 men graduating. And if anybody ever wants to hear a behind-the-scenes story of Faith Farm, come to one of our graduations, which you can find the whole year's schedule on our website.
And it's 10 o'clock this Sunday?
It's 10 o'clock this Sunday.
I'm going to see if I can come.
Matter of
love
fact,
them.
Bank America has given us a grant for our GED, and they're presenting the CWT and the college certificates. during the graduation program today.
I'm going to try. I don't know what Bill has scheduled, but I have always loved them. I sit there in awe of what you do. And is that where my mother's piano is?
Yep. It's back in our fellowship hall. It's got a little brass plaque on it, too.
But I want to keep going with this. This isn't a subject we haven't really talked about as in depth. So let's say now when someone is an alcoholic and they then get really restored and then they go out, they still can't drink any alcohol. We know that.
No. Some people, Anita, have a gene.
Right.
So help me that, I mean, they always say I can take one. The director of our Fort Lauderdale, he was an aeronautical engineer. He had an alcohol problem. Right. He graduated from our program, went back out, was a successful guy. He was at a Holiday Inn, and there had a half wall between the bar and the restaurant. And he thought, he looked across and he says, I've been off 2 years. And he took a drink, took another one, took another. We had him back. So some people just can't.
It's like a disease for some people, isn't it?
Yeah, they just can't do it. And I think someday we'll isolate a gene in the brain where if you've got that gene, you better not ever take a drink. You're going to be an alcoholic.
Okay, but let's talk about that person with prescription medication. So now they're off, and they're doing well. They spend their 9 months. Can they not ever get any medication if they're in pain, if it's controlled? Is it the same, do you think?
Well,
I know you're not a doctor.
No, I'm not. But if they're aware of it and something like that should happen, they need to tell their doctor that they have been addicted to prescriptive medicines, and he might need to do maybe one pain medicine this round, maybe change it to another prescription or something. They need to tell them that they've been addicted to pain meds. Okay,
so that's what my question was. So it's the same in a way, but it's not probably as bad as alcohol, because alcohol is, we know that, is now a disease. And I do know someone, and you know him too, and he wouldn't mind our talking about this, but our administrator, Dan, who now goes to, I think he's been clean for 12 years.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah, but he goes every week to AA and he does it. But he said it was the worst time of his life when he couldn't, but when he finally got clean. So he's a very happy person because of that. He talks about that.
Yeah, people that leave it behind are very happy. Matter of fact, they'll scratch their head and go, how did I get in that downward spiral to get in that kind of condition? They just scratch their head and go, how could I do that? Let myself do that. I'm better than that.
So maybe that's the miracle of what you do. So now we've talked about the people who suffer, who are good people, whether they're, come from a low kind of a background where they haven't had a lot of training, or the ones who have made it very well. And as a matter of fact, I want to say something to you. Donald Trump is not my favorite, but he said he's never had a drink. He doesn't drink, and he doesn't allow his children to drink. And of course, my family didn't drink, and it's okay. I mean, Bill has wine, but I don't drink. That's a very admirable trait in a way. Some people can have the drink a little bit; it doesn't matter. But someone like he, who, in his world,
in his world, he's around that stuff all the time.
But somehow, I don't know how that happened. His his brother. Remember, his brother had a problem. And I think that's what happened to him.
I've seen his kids on TV, and they just say, "Man, Dad's so adamant."
He says when they go out, I saw that too. When he go out, don't take a drink or something else. He says,
and don't do drugs. You're not allowed to do drinking or drugs.
Right.
And of course, he disciplines them. They're very well disciplined kids.
Yeah,
coming from a wealthy family.
Yeah,
of course,
you do that, you're gone. The money's gone. Don't even try it. Right.
Yeah.
But I'm really very, very happy with what you do, because your organization not only helps people to become good citizens and who they will love themselves, but they have now another life. It's like you've changed their life, and now they have, they have religion, they have things that are very important to them that they never knew before. So you're doing. I know you say you don't have psychology, but you do, because all your courses are very psychological.
Yeah, but they're based on the Bible. They're based on Scripture. We have a very strong foundation for that. But it's good. It's good science. It's good stuff that they get. But we have because we're faith based, we just happen to have a faith based basis for everything we do.
Yeah, and there are a lot of other organizations that don't, and some people make it, some people don't. But we've talked about that you have always felt that what you do you give them something inside, an inspiration that lasts.
Yeah.
It's not 100%, but it does last compared to people, as you said, and I've known some people who've gone to these very fancy places and what they have, and maybe it works sometimes, but
sometimes it does. It depends on the person. And
let me ask you about your kids and all with drinking. So did you ever have to be like Donald Trump with your children? I mean, no one ever told me that way. My parents just didn't drink.
My dad was like that with me, so I passed it on.
He was
very strong.
Very
with my
strong
kids.
about that. Well, I learned it from example.
Yeah.
I mean, just never saw. I didn't smoke because they didn't smoke. It was just. I mean, I don't know if that's typical. Is that typical of what your parents do? You do know, maybe not because you're peer pressure.
Here I do know this: kids don't do what you say; they do what you do. And you can say, "Now, I don't want you to drink while you're sitting there with a cocktail," and they give about this much, no credence to what you're saying because you're not living out what you're saying. So, modeling what you want them to be is very, very important because otherwise you're being two-faced, saying, "I don't want you to do this," or "You got to wait till you're 20 or 21 or 18 or whatever," and it just not the same thing. I mean, you have to walk the walk. You can't just talk the talk.
Well, and I had two of my children had gotten in drugs in the 60s, and of course I never was on drugs. I didn't even understand them. When I was told, I said, "What are you talking about? What do you mean?"
I'm too busy. I don't even I've never had time for it. To be honest with you, I've never had interest, but I've never had time. I put in too many hours, and I've seen your schedule, and you're unbelievable.
Yeah,
the stuff you do.
but when I was growing up, I was very busy, and I worked when I was very young, but it wouldn't have been something that nobody could have even gotten me to do that. I don't know where that more morality came from, but I just said no.
I'm too high on life.
Oh, wait, I have another subject, and I told you about this. When I was 21, my ex-husband wanted to go to college, and so we bought a beer and wine bar, and I worked in that bar for 3.5 years. And of course,
Really?
I never drank or anything. Oh yeah, I was around it all the time, and I saw a lot of things happening. You didn't even know that.
No, I didn't know
That's
that.
right, in Miami. But you see, it wasn't something that I would even want to do. So, but I saw how people acted. I saw how they treated people. I saw how they treated their families. I saw them sitting there all day, and you wonder, what are they? They have to be hiding from something themselves. They have other problems. So when you get these people at Faith Farm, you can't just lead them and say you're not going to drink anymore or you're not going to have drugs. No. You've got to be the example, and you've got to educate them.
And you have to set a really high standard for them to shoot for, because otherwise they're not going to make it, because most of them have not had really high standards. Maybe their parents didn't set them. Maybe they were hijacked in high school through peer pressure or whatever and stopped going by whatever they were taught. But most people, they take a sidetrack, and the problem is once you start it, you risk a downward spiral. I've always, because my dad died when I was 12, I had to work my way through college.
Forgot that.
And
wow.
And so I didn't have time to get anything. I was determined to be one of the first people in my family to ever get a college degree, and I held down 6 and 7 jobs at a time going through college. Slept no more than 3 or 4 hours. I was so busy it seemed foolish to me to waste your time doing that. So I just didn't have time. And then here at Faith Farm, I work at least 6 days a week. I don't have time to get diverted. I mean, I just don't.
Well, you wouldn't now at this point anyway. I mean, you would.
No, I mean, I just have time. It's difficult for me to even, to work in a pleasurable set of free tickets for something. I just can't. It's just really difficult.
Well, most big time executives really can't either. I mean, that's what they do. But you do spend time with your family, which I admire, and I think that's important.
I put families first.
I know you do. Yeah, families first, and that's really beautiful. But let's go back to now. You have done some really. Now you're going to be going, and I don't know if we have time for that, but we can. Well, maybe that you are now going to be celebrated for something that you have created. This business venture for Faith Farm, which is unusual.
Yeah, AGRM, Association of Gospel Rescue Missions, which is 300 missions around the world that take in homeless people and the addicted, have an annual convention. This year it happens to be in Jacksonville, first week of June, and they've asked me to speak on micro enterprise major impact. and how we use our micro business enterprises at Faith Farm to be self-sustaining on a month-to-month budget basis. Now, we always need donations. We can't do extra stuff. We can't add beds or buildings or without donations. But on a month-to-month basis, our $1 million budget is self-sustaining through our micro business enterprises, our cattle, our thrift stores, our recycling, our orange groves, all the stuff that we do, we're self-sustaining. So most of the missions who do nothing but fundraising and big fancy dinners to raise money, we're very fortunate in all of our people, all 90 people, they work shoulder to shoulder right besides the people in the program, whether they're unloading donated furniture at the dock or pricing it, putting it on the floor of the store, or recycling material, whatever job they're doing, they're working with an administrative staff, and they're available to pour into their lives on a day-to-day basis. And they'll say, well, I had this happen. What do you think about this? And so they're, the Bible talks about teaching younger people when you get up, when you get down, when you go out, when you come in, just to walk the walk and talk the talk. And so there's a constant input into their life. Plus, our Alpha course, which has the strongest thing, we took one of our board members took the 12-step program, and he went back in history and he put all the Bible scriptures back into the program that they stripped out. Because instead of God or Jesus, it's the higher power. Now that you have to be really politically correct. He put all those scriptures back in, and we teach the 12-step program, but we call the Alpha course, and because in the Bible, God said, I'm the beginning and I'm the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I'm Alpha. This is the beginning. And so we teach them the 12-step course, but it's got all the scriptural basis for it. So they realize that they're loved by God, no matter how they feel unloved or whatever. They're loved by Almighty God. They're a child of God, and there's nothing they've done that they can't be forgiven of. And there's a cleansing process that occurs of the good stuff put back into our people during that 9 months in the program.
Yeah, because everybody is good. They just sometimes get off into another path.
They've done so many despicable things. Yeah, they think they're rotten bums, and they're not.
And that's true with people, even if they're not addicted to something. They have to get straight. Now, I want to make sure, Dean went over this very quickly, but I have to back him up that, yes, if you want to donate money, there are a lot of places you can donate money, but I hope you will donate to them at Faith Farm, and this is how you do it. Just get on the web and go to faithfarm.org, faithfarm.org. Give them $1, give them $10, give them $1,000, give them $100,000, whatever you have, that money is spent well. And thank you, Dean. You're always great when you come here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.